are back for another exciting episode of The Spicy Life. I'm your host, Spicy Madi, and joined with me is my beautiful co-host, Dr. Allie.
What up?
We have a special guest in the building, the beautiful songstress, Audra Bryant. And she's coming here today to join in on the conversation about beauty, internal, external, the scars that we bear. And she has a special story of her own that she wants to share as well with us. It really inspired her and her music. So before we get started, don't forget to click and subscribe. Make sure that you download, like us, all of that good stuff. Because if not, my husband will kill us.
He's a big guy too. He works out a lot. So,
Audra, okay, you have to tell us a little bit of background about your story because it's really deep in how you discovered your passion for music.
So, when I was a year and a half, I was actually severely burned. And between the ages of 2 and 16, I had 6 surgeries. And I did not look at myself change clothes in the mirror until I was 25.
Oh. So what did you do? You flipped all the mirrors around? You took them down?
I literally just would avoid. It was just, I would take my clothes off, put my, nightgown on or whatever it is that I'm wearing, and I would just avoid looking at myself. I would barely glance at the mirror if I passed by it. So.
Wait, how'd you do your makeup?
Oh, yeah, I would look at my face.
Oh.
But not my chest, not
okay,
my
so
scars.
it's just like, you just would make sure that you avoided
my
that
scars.
altogether.
So, yeah.
Is it monumental today that you're wearing your shoulders out?
I know,
that
seeing all
you've
the skin.
Like, is this a big deal?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's always a big deal to be able to, at this point in my life, being able to show without even thinking twice about it. Like, because I never would have worn something like this a few, years ago. So yeah, I'm very happy to be free enough.
What did you attribute that to, though, in this realization of, not looking at yourself? What did you find out about why you were avoiding looking at yourself?
Well, I just kind of felt like my scars were a mistake, that I would be pretty if I didn't have them. I'd be prettier if I didn't have them. It just felt very wrong. So I just felt like it was a mistake. I was not going to fully accept it, and I would be accepting my scars by looking at them and, admiring them or liking them or embracing them in any way. So...
When do you think you had that idea for the first time, this idea that something was wrong with you? Because one, you're really young and you're not totally self-aware. So when do you think was that moment when you were like, oh, I'm different?
So I started taking dance class. Like I was in ballet and tap at the age 3 and 4. So in ballet class, you have to wear these unitards. And so like kids come up to you and they're like, hey, what happened? What's that? What's and as a kid, you're just trying to fit in. Like you just want to
live your life.
I'm trying to learn first position, second position, all that kind of stuff, right? Plie, releve, like I'm just trying to do that. And like they're just pointing, looking, and they're just curious. It's not that they're trying to be mean, but for me, I was just like, okay, so that was the end of dance class for me. And that was also, anywhere I would go, I just felt very much different. Like I would wear these joped vests to kind of press down the scars. So it was a lot of different things that went into it. And a joped vest feels like a girdle around your chest, like pressing it down. And then even through adolescence, like seeing girls, by the time they're getting their bodies, their shapes and stuff, and they're wearing cute outfits, like cute little tops, and I just was like, oh, I can't wear that. I can't show myself. I don't have cleavage, like all these different things, because the scar was in the middle of my breast. So I was just like, okay, I'm weird. This is not right. Something happened. This was wrong.
Yeah.
So I made it wrong. And so, that stuck with me for a long time.
So I know that we need just a little bit more. We're going to have to dive a little bit deeper because I know everyone's going to want to know what started the fire, how did the fire happen?
Actually, it wasn't a fire. It was actually, when I was a year and a half, it was something like, honestly, it was coffee.
Coffee?
Wow.
Coffee.
Oh my God, coffee?
Coffee.
I say that because I've had coffee thrown on me. So that's why I'm like, oh my God,
like
my mom
how
could
to
kill me.
Yeah.
It can be really, really hot, yeah.
And so not everyone's skin keloids, but my skin keloids.
Oh no.
So it's one of those things where I was a year and a half, like my dad and my grandma were there at the table, and I'm just toddling around, and I just reached up on the table and pulled coffee off of the table. It was very, very hot, and it actually did splash on my face, but then it got all over, let's see, like my shoulder, my chest. Coffee.
See, I'm thinking, like, when I hear the song, I'm thinking it's, burns from, the house was on fire, right? Like, that is crazy. That could happen to anyone's child.
And exactly. And that's one of the reasons why I was like, this is a mistake. Like, if that one little moment changed my life, like something like that. Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, I don't even drink coffee to this day. Now, I don't even know if it's because of that, but I know that I've never been a coffee drinker.
Damn.
Yeah.
Had no... So that I can understand. That is a mistake. It's not like it was that was simply you just being a child.
Being a kid.
Yeah.
And now you've had to go through these years suffering, with this lack of, or this feeling of not being as attractive or beautiful as everyone else because your scars. But how did you get to this place of, you know what? I am beautiful. Like, how did you turn that on?
So, fast forward into adulthood, like my early 20s. I feel like it was crazy because I would, I have boyfriends and stuff like that. And, when it's time to be close and be intimate. And as I was saying kind of earlier, I was like, we can be close, but I'm going to keep this shirt on.
Yeah.
Like, like you can't see me. You can see a part of me, but not all of me. And then I noticed also, like, my friends, like, I would tug on my clothes, like certain clothes, like for the most part I would wear crew neck shirts or turtlenecks, but sometimes if the collar, like, I might have to pull it up or whatever, and my friends would see me just kind of doing that, and they're like, why are you doing that? Like, it's not a big deal. And I'm like, oh yes it is, it's a big deal. And it was weird because then I said, I started to say, well, nobody else cares. Like, the guys I'm dating, they don't care.
They are still going to be coming for you.
Okay.
See,
right?
If a guy's focusing on that, he has no right to be in your bedroom anyways.
Very true.
Right?
Very true. But it felt like everybody else could embrace the scars,
but you.
My scars, but me. And so I was like, it just kind of made me think. And so then I started I would pray and I would ask God, like, why would you want me to be in the entertainment industry where everybody is beautiful and perfect and I'm not at all perfect? Like, I have this giant scar. Like, what are you trying to tell me? And over the years, I felt like I finally was just like kind of put it in my spirit. Well, everybody has scars. Some have them on the outside, and some have them on the inside.
Preach on that.
And so that was the moment when I finally kind of got that. Like, that was the only thing that made sense to me. Was I was like, oh, well, I have to embrace these scars then if I'm going to do anything.
Yeah.
Because I can't just run around with turtlenecks on all day. And pull it up on my
not in LA.
Yeah, because
no.
I thought it was deep how earlier you said that the idea of looking at them and maybe accepting them was so uncomfortable for you. Just the idea of being like, oh no, that's okay. I can embrace them. Yeah. So, like, I think that's just really beautiful that you were able to finally come to a place where you were like, well, this is a part of who I am.
Yeah. And it took time. I mean, it wasn't like a overnight, like, oh yeah, I'm good now. I had to face the mirror, literally face the mirror and, like, look at myself. And so I started off with, like, glances. Like
the eye test.
Oh, see, we call that's gradual exposure.
Yeah.
That's exposure therapy where you start with something small and then you grow to something bigger. It's like you glance for a second.
Yep.
Then you glance for 10 seconds.
Yep.
Then, 15.
Now she's dancing in the mirror naked.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is something I can barely do.
Oh
man. Yes,
if I'm
that's
too
what
bloated, I have a hard time myself. I look in the mirror like, oh no, not today.
But yeah, and that's what it but you have to, like, you have to do it. You have to say to yourself, okay, I have to get over this. I have to accept myself. And you just do the steps. You do your mirror work. That's what I kind of called it, like my mirror work.
So what you're saying is you can have sex with the lights on now.
Yeah. Let's do that.
I already told her I was going to be coming for her. Yes. I'm like, I'm going to get you, girl. I'm going to get you in the hot seat.
There's a lot of people that can't do that.
Man.
Oh, yeah. This is true.
No,
that is
true. That is a skill.
Because we all, so yours is scars, but we all have our own insecurities.
Yeah.
You know, each person has their thing that they're suffering from where they're uncomfortable to just be seen. Mm-hmm. You know, but whether it is, you know, our skin or our body weight, which is, I suffer from that all the time. I'm like, don't touch me. I am 10 pounds overweight right now. Like, we all have our specific issues. So you're not alone, and there's a lot of women that feel like how you do that don't have maybe the physical scars. Yeah. They just feel like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so it's what you're experiencing is extremely common. But what we want everybody to always get from the spicy life is, you know, how to spice up their lives, how to get to this place, you know, of you know, this self-awareness and you know, passion, and you know, that way they can get to this place of confidence and be able to express themselves the way that you do in your music.
Yes. And you know what? And the thing is that everybody can get to that space. You just have to want to be there. Mm-hmm. I think you have to want to get out of this space of insecurity, and just like, even if it gets to a space of self-loathing, you have to say, oh, no. Oh, no. I'm going to love myself. And sometimes you have to force yourself to love yourself. And that's what I had to do. Mm-hmm. It was just like, and I couldn't have written my song. I couldn't have written Scars if I hadn't gotten over it. I wanted, like, for years, I said, I'm going to write a song called Scars. I'm going to write a song called Scars. And it never came. It never came. I tried, and it was not right. Mm-hmm. And so it's interesting because when I started to write the song, I thought it was going to be a sad song because I had so much negativity kind of associated with my scars. But when it came, it wasn't a sad song.
Oh, yeah. In your music video, you're like...
Yeah, she was all in it. I know, she was going.
She's like, yeah, I like it. It was like easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. I was like, okay, I see you, Miss Confident.
And you know what? And when I tell you, that's because it was years of the opposite.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you're like, look, like you've been in a house all day. When you get out at night, you like, hey, let's go. We turning up. Like, that's how it felt. It was just like,
but there's something to that, though.
Yeah.
Like, this story that you told yourself of it being ugly, of it, you know, you not being, you know, worthy of, you know, these other people's love, or, you know, whatever story that you told yourself. Because I know that's a repetitive one for a lot of, you know, women. Yeah. But it's this, you know, I'm not good enough and I don't meet society's standards of beauty. Because we all define beauty differently, but I do feel like there's this underlining ideal that we all have in our head of what we've seen in the magazines or what we've seen on television and media.
Definitely. And especially like social media. And you can look at Instagram.
Back in the day it was magazines, and now it's social media.
Now it's with you everywhere you go. And you're like, oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. Oh my God, her body's so perfect. Her face is flawless. Like, I was 10 years old going into my mom's room crying, saying no man is ever going to want to marry me. Like, that's how
at 10,
deep
I
it
can't
was.
believe you thought about that at 10. Marriage?
Exactly.
But that's in little girls' heads.
Was your mom married? Your mom was married to your father during this time?
Not at that time. They had been divorced. Okay. They were divorced. But it was one of those things where they do, like, society puts in your head as a little girl, like, marriage and, you know, kids and perfect life and that kind of thing. And then when you don't feel like you fit into that perfect life, because you don't feel perfect, you don't feel like you're enough, then it's just like, well, that isn't going to be for me. That's not going to happen for me. And so I think we have to work so much harder to, like, accept yourself because there's so many different images coming at you.
It's kind of like what you said earlier. It's like it's this constant fight toward loving self, because you always have this information that's telling you you're not skinny enough, you're not tall enough, you're not light enough, you're not dark enough, your hair's not long enough, your hair's not short enough. There's always something that you're not doing. And if you let that get you down, it's like it could take you all the way down. Like when I was like in junior high, I remember one time I actually found myself in my shower using Comet to try to bleach my skin.
Oh my God.
Right? legitimately thought, I was like, well, it cleans the bathtub, so it's going to clean me. Like, I'm going to get this off because I hated my complexion so much.
Mine was my hair.
You know?
I didn't know it was black until people would tell me, like, why is your hair? You don't look like a normal Mexican. And so that was how I started to become more aware, like, like, I knew my family, we're all mixed. Everyone's Mexican and black, but they never had ethnic questions, like, conversations with us. But I was really insecure about my hair. Like, why is my hair frizzier and curlier than everybody else's? Like, why can't it be tamed? And that was how I used to pray, please give me that blonde, straight hair. I remember that when I was younger. I wanted the hair like the little white girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's this perception that there's this one norm. And I would say when we were growing up, there really was a very limited beauty norm, which was like when you look at like the evolution of beauty, there's this kind of concept that basically we look for things that are beautiful that indicate whether that person is worthy of procreation.
Yes.
Right? Waist-hip ratio, your waist has to be smaller than your hips because that indicates that you're a female and not a male, because men have a waist-hip ratio that's closer to 1, whereas women's is closer to 0.6. And then like things like pathogen resistance and health and symmetry and all of these things are things that we look for. And then like on top of that, in the United States, we look for things like small jaw lines and large eyes, fair skin and long hair.
Your profile being proportionate.
You know what I'm saying? Like all of these things. And then you add on a lot of people's perceptions that you have to have this type of nose and this type of lip.
You need to be keen.
And now it's about having a straight up fat ass. Like like people want big hips, big butt, small waist, and not everyone's built like that. Like for me, I am not built like that.
They did a study though. They said that Naomi Campbell's body was the prototype of the like perfect measurements of what a body is supposed to look like. But mind you, only Naomi Campbell looks like Naomi Campbell.
And that's it. I think they said something like only like 0.5% of the population is like eligible to actually be like a model. Like someone who actually looks like a model. Like the average American, like when you go around, like, and what's interesting is the larger Americans get, the smaller models get. It's because this is what my dissertation was on. My dissertation was on human
Body
appearance and cosmetic surgery. Yeah, but it's like, and body dysmorphia is in there, but it's like the larger people get, because we have a society, everyone's getting heavier. Food is not healthy. We're eating more, and so we have a society that is not seeing themselves represented on social media or in the press or on television shows. And luckily we're seeing, like, I think that we're starting to see a shift in that over the past few years, where we have actresses that don't always look exactly that way, which is why I like British television. Do you ever watch that? Like BBC?
Yeah.
They're actors.
There's a show with Idris Elba that's really good.
Yes.
Oh,
Luther.
yes.
Luther!
Ah.
Oh my God, Idris!
Yes.
Idris, if you're
All
watching.
Hi.
But yeah, British television, I think, has a much more realistic representation of what people look like. Not everybody's a supermodel. Not everybody's a size 0. People have like normal faces and
Their
wrinkles
teeth aren't
and
perfect.
yeah,
for
they
sure.
have like normal lives. Like I have wrinkles on my face. Like why should we pretend like we don't? So.
Yeah.
But it's just unfortunate that we don't get to see, like, why can't the person with scars be in the CoverGirl commercial? Why can't the person with, untamed hair be in the Pantene? Like, I understand that they're trying to sell products, but that's not what people really look like. But I think that we're trained to have an eye of only liking beauty. If we saw the norm on television, I don't think that we would not purchase. I think that we become conditioned to like only buying from this look. Like that has to have this commercial look. And if it doesn't, we can't watch it.
Yeah.
We're spoiled brats.
We really are. And also, and beauty norms change a little bit over time. Like, for example, like back in like Europe in like the 1400s, it was really in style to have very pale skin, right? People would like take arsenic. They would eat little bits of arsenic, which is super poisonous, so that they could make themselves look paler. Because it would basically kind of low level kill you. And so it would make you look
That color right before green.
Yeah, right before
Like
dead.
right before you die.
That color right before you die. That's the color they wanted, like kind of a bluish hint and tinge. And like in China, you saw the same thing, where they would wear like lead-based makeup to make their skins look extra pale, because it showed that they didn't have to work outside, right? Because at that time in history, people who worked outside had darker skin.
That's the worker.
But now, having darker skin shows that you have time to vacation. Because nobody works outside anymore.
Yeah, times have changed.
Who works outside? So now everyone wants to go get tan, because it shows that you were just hanging out on like the Maldives, or you were hanging out in like Hawaii, or doing whatever. So it shows that you have time to leisure. And so it's like, so norms kind of shift with societal expectations. Society pushes these norms. People say like, oh no, we just like what we like, and I'm kind of like, I call bullshit on that. Because I'm like, no,
we're told what to like.
There we go. Absolutely. Society definitely dictates it.
It is not a we make it, they follow. No, we are following the what we're seeing.
Exactly.
The fact that Kylie Jenner can say that she's off of Snapchat. I just don't follow Snapchat anymore. And 1.5 billion, like you just lost it like that. How you just lose 1.5 billion? That's so crazy to me. And that's not, I too do not like Snapchat. No, that is, you are being influenced in this moment. You are a follower and not a leader.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Most people are easily influenced.
I mean, it's interesting you said you are a follower and not a leader, but that's what we do all day is follow people.
Literally following like 500 people. Yeah. Follow me.
We're taught to be followers. And I think that, like, the best that I could hope for people now is like, okay, if sometimes you can't help but to be influenced by what you see in your society, but how is the influence affecting you? Like sometimes, like if you have low self-esteem, if you're looking at yourself and you don't think that you are incredibly gorgeous,
right?
If you do not look at your body and say, oh, I accept you, like flaws and all, I accept you, wrinkles and whatever. If you don't accept it, then that's the work that you need to do, I feel like, on an individual basis.
What does that look like? What is work? Because they need to know what the work is.
Okay. So the work is that, okay, if you're at a space where you have self-doubt and you're just like, oh, I don't like this. Oh, I don't like that. I mean, just with my scars, I have to be honest. Like, this was a lot of work to accept something that I felt like was the most ugly thing in the world. Like, literally. So, how do I do that? I say, one, okay, I need to accept this. If nothing changes, like I went to doctors, I've had surgeries. I've had six different surgeries. Like I've gone to doctors and had them inject things into my scars to like flatten them down. But then that hurt, and then it puffed back up anyway. So, okay, if I cannot change anything, if I cannot lose 1 pound, if I cannot change anything, can I accept myself now the way I am? If your answer is no or I don't know, then there's work to do. So you say, you know what? I'm going to accept myself the way I am right now. And you start doing your mirror work. You start doing affirmations and telling yourself that I am incredible, I am beautiful just the way I am. Like dancing in the mirror. Like, I mean, literally make your mirror your friend, because the better you look to yourself, the better you're going to look to the world. And when I tell you, I mean, like, I've done mirror work to the point where I said I am beautiful. Like, once in the morning when I was brushing my teeth and once at night when I was brushing my teeth. And I did that for 3 months. Just so I could feel comfortable saying it and receiving it from my, like, just period, because I felt uncomfortable. When I went, like, I started in October. I went to visit my friend in Detroit in October, my homeboy, and he was like, oh, hey, how you doing? Whatever. I went back in Christmas after I did my 3 months of I Am Beautiful. He was like, for some reason, you look better.
You looking like a better person.
Yes, like nothing changed.
That's the prescription. I'm gonna start saying it every single day.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I am so beautiful. Like literally, nothing changed. I didn't get a hair. I didn't change my hair. I didn't put extra makeup on. I literally was just saying my affirmations. And I started to believe it. Like, you're going to start to believe yourself eventually.
Well, they say you can't believe or you can't think a negative thought while saying a positive thought out loud. So if you start saying those positive thoughts, eventually you'll be saying it enough that you'll start to believe it. But that can be a challenge too, especially if you're saying it and you would never convince yourself, though. What about the times when you're saying it over and over and you're not doing anything about it, though?
Well,
because don't you need to back it up with some actions? Well,
I think that the actions are one is your intention. Your intention is, I'm going to accept myself. And then your actions of, okay, I'm going to speak life to myself. I am beautiful. I accept this. And when looking at yourself sometimes, when you look at yourself long enough, you're going to find something awesome. This is almost like hearing a song. when you hear a song for the first time on the radio, you may not, okay, it's all right.
But it gets better, it gets better.
The more they play it, the more it starts to like, okay, that's kind of cool. Like, oh, I like the way that happened. You know, like that's what started to happen. I was like, you know, that does kind of look a little like a leaf. Like, oh, that does kind of look like I could have possibly done that on purpose. Right. Like, you know, like it does, you know, so you start to like see different things. And then not only is it just my scar, but it affected my breasts as well because the way it like burned, it was right in the middle. So I don't have, like I said, I don't have cleavage. It was one of those things where it was just like, okay, but are you going to be okay with that?
Yeah.
But are you going to be okay with something that you can't change? If you never change.
From the profile, I'm seeing a little Jada Pinkett.
You know,
do you
people
get that?
have said that.
Oh
yes.
my God.
Okay.
I'm totally seeing. Give the camera your profile. Let them see. Jada.
Zoom in. Oh, we got that zoom.
Dang, I'm
What's
seeing
up,
Jada.
What's up, girl?
No, but I love what you're saying because I do think that the way to get to acceptance is definitely language based. Because I think sometimes we don't think about it in those terms because we feel things, right? And we don't realize that our feelings a lot of times come from language. They come from thoughts. And so you have to first identify like the types of words that you want to use. And for a lot of people, it is hard to just say like, I'm beautiful.
Yeah.
And so what we do with people when they have that as a problem, we do what we call successive approximations, where you start with something else that might be smaller that they actually might believe. You know, and so you start with something small, like, you know what? I really love my left eye. My left eye is like everything to me, and I love her, and she's beautiful. And so you start by saying, like, I love my left eye because I believe that I actually
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And you know what? And then next week, my right eye looks like my left eye. Maybe I like my eyes. Maybe I like both of them, you know? And then you start to like move forward because like I feel for some people they have such a hard time. Like, and I love that you were just able to say like, I'm beautiful and I'm going to believe this.
No, for other people, it wasn't a lot harder than that.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, trust me. It's not like I believed it at first. No. Like, I literally would look at old pictures of myself, like baby pictures. And I was like, ugh. Like, I literally looked at baby pictures of myself.
I'm sure you were
and was
cute
just
baby too.
I'm sure.
And like, when I look at it, I'm like, oh my God. Like now I can look at myself and say, oh my gosh, I was so cute. Like, but what about the chubby pictures? I looked at the chubby pictures of myself and I was just like
those junior high chubby, like those 10-year-old
oh my God, like the 10-year-old
pictures,
yes.
10 is the worst time to be alive. It is hard. It's hard.
8 was bad.
It's a hard time.
8 was really bad.
Oh my goodness. But looking at those pictures, I was just like, oh no, I gotta hide this from the world. Nobody can ever see this.
Right.
But I think that's what we do. Is that we just continue, we hide ourselves. We're like, we hide the 10-year-old pictures, and then we like, oh, the 25-year-old, I don't like the way, oh, the 30, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's not easy, but you have to give yourself that opportunity to get past it. Give yourself that opportunity to love yourself. And I think that's, because we're always taught to love other people. We're taught to love God. We're taught to love our children. But nobody teaches us to love ourselves.
Nope, never.
Or how.
Or they'll just tell you to do it. Exactly, they never tell you how to do it. I totally agree with that.
Okay, so we always put everyone in, you know, the hot seat. You've been doing good. You've been sharing. You've been vulnerable. But now we got to ask you some spicy questions. Okay, it's the end of the world. What are you doing? Eat, sleep, singing, or sex?
Sex.
Oh, we got another sexer.
And I thought you loved to sing. Okay, Hollywood crush that you would crush?
Gosh.
Anybody in Hollywood?
I always had a crush on Common.
Common?
Yeah.
Okay. Wait,
can
Common
resonate
is
with
with
that. He was with the tennis player.
No, now he's with Angela. Yeah, CNN.
Oh, Angela Yee?
No.
Oh, Angela Rye?
Angela Rye.
Angela
Rye,
Angela
the
Yee's
lawyer?
from the radio.
Oh,
Yes,
no.
right.
Angela Rye, the lawyer?
Yeah, Angela Rye, the lawyer.
Oh, Angela.
There you go, girl.
So, yeah, she's coming for your man. Okay,
Angie.
a body swap. Who in the industry would you swap with just for one day? You could be anybody in the industry.
One day, just, okay. Oh, Beyonce. I mean, who doesn't
Beyonce. See, I'm always trying to
What
push
is
people
it?
into
What is it
Beyonce.
like?
Who doesn't say
You
that?
could be Beyonce for the day. Like, why would that's an easy go
absolutely. And she's a Virgo, so, like, I'm a
Hey.
Virgo.
Are you a
Virgo.
Virgo? Oh,
Yes.
okay. See? All those Virgos. Virgos exist.
If people want to, find your work, they want to hear you, they want to learn more about, your recovery to healing and, becoming their, most beautiful version of themselves, where could they find you?
You can go to audrabryant.com, AudraBryant.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Audra A. Bryant. And that's where I am.
All right, you guys, be looking out for her. Amazing and talented artist. You guys can always play with my Twitter or stroke my Instagram at SpicyMari. Get relationship advice and coaching at thespicylife.com. And Dr. Allie, where can they find you?
You can always hit me up at AllisonHicks.com. That's ALLYCIN, Allison Hicks. It's also Allison Hicks on IG. If you need any consulting, any advice, anything like that, I'm here for you.
Boop. And there you have it. You have just been spiced.
The Spicy Life.